Reading the pre-class scripture and the 4 songs from the sounds and voices of the Cultural Center of the New Covenant Congregation of Israel. And now our elder is going to come up behind the altar and teach today's class.
Our beloved senior elder priest of the Cultural Center of NCCI, Yaakov ben Yisrael.
Yeah, like I was saying, welcome once again to the Holy Convention of NCCI, the Yahweh Elohim, as you join us here in the city of Atlanta. On the last Sabbath class I did our deliverance up to the deliverance of the house of Judah and up to the coming of the Messiah. So what I'm talking about first resurrection, we pass the follow that because the man just trying to see it all.
I'm going to read the oracles of the church beginning at 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves. For love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man have received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yeshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for the Mashiach's sake have forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and have given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becometh saints, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame, and am set down with my Father in his throne. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
Praise God. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the church and Holy Convention. I'm going to do this class today if the Spirit permits. The first part is going to be the regathering. Then we're going to deal with earth rulership, then princes, then the governors of the land, and how things are going to be set up in the land. And to start this, my brother, I'd like to go to Isaiah chapter 24 and verse 14 through chapter 26 and verse 11. Now remember, the Messiah had came, he had blown our trumpet of the Jubilee, and that's the signal for all of Israel to be gathered from all over the earth back to Mount Zion. Isaiah chapter 24, and pick that up at verse 14, my brother.
Verse 14. They shall lift up their voice, they shall sing for the majesty of Yahweh, they shall cry aloud from the sea. Wherefore glorify ye Yahweh in the fires, even the name of Yahweh Elohim of Israel in the isles of the sea. From the uttermost part of the earth have we heard songs, even glory to the righteous. But I said, my lameness, woe unto me. The treacherous dealers have dealt treacherously. Yea, the treacherous dealers have dealt very treacherously. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon thee, O inhabitant of the earth. And it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the field shall fall into the pit. And he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. The earth is utterly broken down, the earth is clean dissolved, the earth is moved exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days shall they be visited. Then the moon shall be confounded, and the sun ashamed, when Yahweh of hosts shall reign in Mount Zion, and in Jerusalem, and before his angels glorious.
Praise God.
O Yahweh, thou art my Elohim. I will exalt thee, I will praise thy name. For thou hast done wonderful things. Thy counsels of old are faithfulness and truth. For thou hast made of a city an heap, of a defenced city a ruin, a palace of strangers to be no city, it shall never be built. Therefore shall the strong people glorify thee, the city of the terrible nation shall fear thee. For thou hast been a strength to the poor, a strength to the needy in his distress, a refuge from the storm, a shadow from the heat, when the blast of the terrible ones is as a storm against the wall. Thou shalt bring down the noise of strangers as the heat in a dry place, even the heat with the shadow of a cloud. The branch of the terrible one shall be brought low. And in this mountain shall Yahweh of hosts make unto all people a feast of fat things, a feast of wines on the leaves, of fat things full of marrow, of wines on the leaves well refined. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations.
There was a curse that Israel had curses on Israel, but there was also a curse that went over the whole earth, and that curse that goes over the whole earth is going to also have to be lifted once the Mashiach returns. Go ahead and read, brother.
Isaiah chapter 25, verse 8. He will swallow up death in victory, and the Adonai Elohim will wipe away tears from off all faces, and the rebuke of Israel shall he take away from off all the earth, for Yahweh hath spoken it.
Praise Yah.
And it shall be said in that day, Lo, this is our Elohim. We have waited for him, and he will save us. This is Yahweh. We have waited for him. We will be glad and rejoice in his salvation. For in this mountain shall the hand of Yahweh rest, and Moab shall be trodden down under him, even as straw is trodden down for the dunghill. And he shall spread forth his hands in the midst of them, as he that swimmeth spreadeth forth his hands to swim. And he shall bring down their pride together with the spoils of their hands. And the fortress of the high fort of thy walls shall he bring down, lay low, and bring to the ground, even to the dust. In that day shall this song be sung in the land of Yehudah. We have a strong city. Salvation will Elohim apart for walls and bulwarks. Open you the gates, that the righteous nation which keepeth the truth may enter in. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. Trust you in Yahweh forever. For in the Most High Yahweh is everlasting strength. For he bringeth down them that dwell on high, the lofty city. He layeth it low, even to the ground. He bringeth it even to the dust. The foot shall tread it down, even the feet of the poor, and the steps of the needy. The way of the just is uprightness. Thou, most upright, doth weigh the path of the just. Yea, in the way of thy judgment, O Yahweh, have we waited for thee. The desire of our soul is to your name, and to the remembrance of thee. With my soul have I desired thee in the night. Yea, with my spirit within me will I seek thee early. For when your judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness. Let favor be shown to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of Yahweh. Yahweh, when thine hand is lifted up, they will not see, but they shall see, and be ashamed for their envy at the people. Yea, the fire of thine enemies shall devour them.
Right, because the nations know how they've treated Israel. So once Israel receive all of this power, you talk about jealousy. The nation's really going to be jealous because of this. But it's going to be the best time that they've ever had upon the face of the earth. Go ahead, bro.
I thought we were supposed to read that.
To verse 21.
Verse 12. Yahweh, thou wilt ordain peace for us, for thou also hast wrought all our works in us. O Yahweh, our Elohim, other masters beside thee have had dominion over us, but by thee only will we make mention of thy name. They are dead, they shall not live. They are deceased, they shall not rise. Therefore hast thou visited and destroyed them, and made all their memory to perish. Thou hast increased the nation, O Yahweh. Thou hast increased the nation. Thou art glorified. Thou hast removed it far unto all the ends of the earth. Yahweh, in trouble have they visited thee. They poured out a prayer when thy chastening was upon them. Like as a woman with child that draweth near the time of her delivery is in pain, and crieth out in her pain, so have we been in thy sight, O Yahweh. We have been with child, we have been in pain. We have, as it were, brought forth wind. We have not wrought any deliverance in the earth, neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. Thou dead men shall live, together with my dead body shall they arise. Awake and sing, ye that dwell in dust, for thy dew is as the dew of herb, and the earth shall cast out the dead. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpaid. For behold, Yahweh cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood,
and shall no more cover her flame.
Praise Yah. Chapter 30 in verse 18 through chapter 31 and verse 9. Chapter 30 in verse 18 through chapter 31 and verse 9.
And therefore will Yahweh wait, that he may be gracious unto you. And therefore will he be exalted, that he may have mercy upon you. For Yahweh is an heir of judgment. Blessed are all they that wait for him. For the people shall dwell in Zion at Jerusalem. Thou shalt weep no more. He will be very gracious unto thee at the voice of thy cry. When he shall hear it, he will answer thee. And though the Adonai give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner any more, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers. And thine ears shall hear a word behind thee saying, this is the way, walk you in it, when you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left.
Mm-hmm.
You shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver, and the ornament of thy molten images of gold. Thou shalt cast them away as a minstrel of cloth. Thou shalt say unto it, get thee hence. Then shall he give the rain of thy seed, that thou shalt sow the ground withal, and the bread of the increase of the earth, and it shall be fat and plenteous. In that day shall thy cattle feed in large pastures. The oxen likewise and the young asses that ear the ground shall eat clean provender, which have been winnowed with the shovel and the fan. And thou shalt be upon every high mountain and upon every high hill, rivers and streams of waters in the day of the great slaughter, when the towers fall. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold as the light of 7 days, in the day that Yahweh binds up the breach of his people and healeth the stroke of their wounds. Behold, the name of Yahweh cometh from far, burning with his anger, and the burden thereof is heavy. His lips are full of indignation, and his tongue as a devouring fire, and his breath as an overflowing sea, shall reach to the midst of the net, to sieve the nations with to sift the nations with the sieve of vanity, and there shall be a bridle in the jaws of the people, causing them to err.
Mm-hmm.
You shall have a song as in the night, when a holy solemnity is kept, and gladness of heart, as when one goes with a pipe to come into the mountain of Yahweh, to the mighty one of Israel. And Yahweh shall cause glorious voice to be heard, and shall show the lighting down of his arm, with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of a devouring fire, with scattering and tempest and hailstones. But through the voice of Yahweh shall the Assyrian be beaten down with smoke with a rod. And in every place where the grounded staff shall pass, which Yahweh shall lay upon him, it shall be with tabret and harp, and in battles of shaking will he fight with it. For Tophet is ordained of old, yea, for the king it is prepared. He hath made it deep and large, the power thereof is fire and much wood, the breath of Yahweh, like a stream of brimstone, doth kindle it.
Verse 4.
But thus have Yahweh spoken unto me, like as the lion and the young lion roaring on his prey, when a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him, he will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. So shall Yahweh of hosts come down to fight for Mount Sion and for the hill thereof.
Mm-hmm.
As birds flying, so will Yahweh of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Turn you unto him
from whom the children of Israel have deeply revolted. For in that day every man shall cast away his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which your own hands have made unto you for a sin. Then shall the Assyrian fall with the sword, not of a mighty man, and the sword not of a mean man shall devour him. But he shall flee from the sword, and his young men shall be discomfited, and he shall pass over to his stronghold for fear, and his princes shall be afraid of the ensign, says Yahweh, whose fire is in Zion, and his furnace in Jerusalem.
27, and I want you to read 2 verses out of there, brother. Verse 12 and 13. 27 and verse 12 and 13.
Verse 12. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall beat off from the channel of the river unto the stream of Egypt, and you shall be gathered one by one, O you children of Israel. And it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts in the land of Egypt, and shall worship Yahweh in the holy mount at Jerusalem.
Okay, so the trumpet of Jubilee was blown, and Israel started to come back up to the land to worship Yahweh at the holy mountain of Jerusalem, right? Okay, chapter 40 and verse 1 through 11. Chapter 40 and verse 1 through verse 11.
Verse 1. Comfort you my people, says your Elohim. Speak you comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, for she hath received of Yahweh's hand double for all her sins. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare you the way of Yahweh, make straight in the desert a highway for our Elohim. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. And the glory of Yahweh shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of Yahweh hath spoken it.
Praise Yah.
The voice said, cry. And he said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all the goodliness thereof is as the flower of the field. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, because the Spirit of Yahweh bloweth upon it. Surely the people is grass. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, but the word of our Elohim shall stand forever.
Praise Yah.
O Yehuda that bringeth good tidings, get you up into the high mountains. O Jerusalem that bringeth good tidings, lift up your voice with strength, lift it up. Be not afraid. Say unto the cities of Yehuda, behold your Elohim. Behold, the Adonai Elohim will come with strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd. He shall gather the lambs with his arm, and carry them in his bosom, and shall gently lead those that are with young.
Okay, my brother, chapter 11, in verse 1 through verse 16. Chapter 11, in verse 1 through verse 16.
Verse 1. And thou shalt come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his root. The Spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yahweh, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yahweh. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the ass, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountains, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh as the waters cover the sea.
Praise Yah.
And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Euro-Gentile seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Adonai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Patros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea.
In other words, it'll be gathered from all over the earth, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Yehudah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehudah, and Yehudah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. And Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it into 7 streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt.
Okay, my brother. 65 and 19 through 66 and 24. 65 and 19 through 66 and 24.
Verse 19. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more then an infant of days, nor an old man that have not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the son of being 100 years old shall be accursed. And they shall build houses and inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands.
Praise God.
They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of Yahweh, and their offspring. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall fall like the bullock, and thus shall be the meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountains, says Yahweh. Thus says the Most High, the heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. Where is the house that you build unto, and where is the place of my rest? For all those things have mine hand made, and all those things, says Yahweh. But to this man will I look, even to him that is poor and of a contrite spirit, and trembleth at my word. He that killeth an ox is as if he slew a man. He that sacrifices a lamb, as if he cut off a dog's neck. He that offereth an oblation, as if he offered swine's blood. He that burneth incense, as if he blessed an idol. Yea, they have chosen their own ways, and their soul delighteth in their abominations. I also will choose their delusions, and will bring their fears upon them, because when I called, none did answer. When I spake, they did not hear. But they did evil before mine eyes, and chose that in which I delighted not. Hear the word of Yahweh, you that tremble at his word. Your brethren that hated you, that cast you out for my name's sake, said, let Yahweh be glorified. But he shall appear to your joy, and they shall be ashamed. A voice of noise from the city, a voice from the temple, a voice of Yahweh that rendereth recompense to his enemies. Before she travailed, she brought forth. Before her pain came, she was delivered of a man-child.
Talking about the Great Tribulation period. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 8. Who hath heard such a thing? Who hath seen such things? Shall the earth be made to brought forth in one day? Or shall a nation be born at once? For as soon as Yehudah travailed, she brought forth her children. Shall I bring to the birth, and not cause to bring forth, says Yahweh? Shall I cause to bring forth, and shut the womb, says thy Elohim? Rejoice you with Jerusalem, and be glad with her, all you that love her. Rejoice for joy with her, all you that mourn for her, that you may sup and be satisfied with the breast of her consolation, that you may milk out and be delighted with the abundance of her glory. For thus says Yahweh, behold, I will extend peace to her like a river, and the glory of the Euro-Gentiles like a flowing stream. Then shall you sup, you shall be borne upon her sides, and be dandled upon her knees. As one whom his mother comforts, so will I comfort you, and you shall be comforted in Jerusalem. And when you see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb. And the hand of Yahweh shall be known toward his servants, and his indignation toward his enemies. For behold, Yahweh will come and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames. For by fire and by his sword Yahweh plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahweh shall be many. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine, and the abomination, and the mouth shall be consumed together, says Yahweh. For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory. And I will stand among them, and I will send those that escape of them unto the nations, to Tarshish, Pud, and Lud, that draw the bow to Tubal and Javan, to the isles of all, that have not heard my fame, neither have seen my glory, and they shall declare my glory among the Euro-Gentiles. And they shall bring all your brethren for offering unto Yahweh out of all nations, upon horses, and in chariots, and in litters, and upon mules, and upon swift beasts, to my holy mountain Jerusalem, says Yahweh, as the children of Israel bring an offering in a vessel into the house of Yahweh.
Okay, so he said he's going to set an ensign among them, and send those that escape of the house of Israel. He's going to send them to the nation that haven't heard what went on in Jerusalem, to declare his glory among the Euro-Gentiles, right? Okay, go ahead, brother.
Verse 21. And I will also take of them for priests and for Levites, says Yahweh. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, says Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name remain. No, sir.
You read verse 20?
Yes, sir. And he slow it down a little bit, you know.
No, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that. But go ahead and read.
You want me to start back at 20?
Go ahead if you read it.
Verse 23. I started verse 22. For as the new heavens...
No, I started verse 20.
Okay. I'll do that. Verse 20. You shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto Yahweh out of all nations upon horses and in chariots and in litters and upon mules, upon swift beasts to my holy mountain, Jerusalem, says Yahweh. As the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of Yahweh. And I will also take up them for priests and for Levites, says Yahweh. For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, remain before me, says Yahweh, so shall your seed and name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, says Yahweh. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me. For their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an absence unto all flesh.
Praise Yah. 59 and 18 through 62 and 11. 59 and 18 through 62 and 11.
Verse 18. According to their deeds, accordingly he will repay, fury to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies, to the islands he will repay recompense. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him. And the Mashiach shall come to Yehudah, and unto them that turn from transgression in Yaakov, says Yahweh. As for me, this is my covenant with them, says Yahweh. My spirit that is upon thee, and my words which I have put in thy mouth, shall not depart out of thy mouth, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, says Yahweh, from henceforth and forever.
Praise Yah.
Arise, shine, for thy come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Euro-Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about, all they gather themselves together, they come to thee. Thy sons shall come from far, and thy daughters shall be nursed at thy side. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be given unto you, the wealth of the Euro-Gentiles shall come unto you. The multitude of camels shall cover thee, the dromedaries of Midian and Ephah, all from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall show forth the peace of Yahweh. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto thee. The rams of Nebal shall minister unto thee. They shall come up with acceptance on mine altar, and I will glorify the house of my glory. Who are these that fly as a cloud, and as the dove to their windows? Surely the owl shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish birds, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of Yahweh thy Elohim, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the wealth of the Euro-Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those shall be utterly wasted. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through you, I will make you an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Euro-Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings, and thou shalt know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the Mighty One of Yaakov. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood, brass, and for stones, iron. I will also make thine officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But Yahweh shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy Elohim thy glory. Thy sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself. For Yahweh shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended.
Praise Yah.
Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, Yahweh, will hasten it in his time. The spirit of the Adonai Elohim is upon me, because Yahweh have anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. Yahweh have sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahweh, and the day of vengeance of our Elohim, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Yehudah, to give them beauty for ashes, to all of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called the trees of righteousness, the planting of Yahweh, that he might be glorified. And they shall build the oasis, and they shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities, the desolations of many generations. And angels shall stand and feed your flocks, and the sons of the aliens shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. But you shall be named the priests of Yahweh. Men shall call you the ministers of our Elohim. You shall eat the wealth of the Euro-Gentiles, and in their glory shall you boast.
So this is fulfilling what he told Moshe when he told Moshe said that Israel was going to be a kingdom of priests to him. But Israel never became a kingdom of priests. He set the Levites aside. So this had to do with once the Mashiach come, and then the house of Israel is set up as the priest to the nations over all the earth. So go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 7. For your shame you shall have double, and for confusion they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore in their land they shall possess the double, everlasting joy shall be unto them. For I, Yahweh, love judgment. I hate robbery for burnt offering. And I will direct their work in truth, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them. And their seed shall be known among the Euro-Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which Yahweh hath blessed. I will greatly rejoice in Yahweh. My soul shall be joyful in my Elohim, for he hath clothed me with the garments of salvation. He hath covered me with the robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom decketh himself with ornament, and as a bride adorneth herself with her jewels. For as the earth bringeth forth her bud, and as the garden causes the things that are sown in it to spring forth, so the Adonai Elohim will cause righteousness and praise to spring forth before all the nations.
Mm-hmm.
For Yehuda's sake will I not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. And the Euro Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, and all kings thy glory. And thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of Yahweh shall name. Thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of Yahweh, and a royal diadem in the hand of thy Elohim. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate, but thou shalt be called Hephzibah, and thy land Beulah. For Yahweh delighteth in thee, and thy land shall be married. For as a young man marrieth a virgin, so shall thy sons marry thee. And as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall thy Elohim rejoice over thee.
Mm-hmm.
I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never... Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Verse 4. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate, but thou shalt be called Hephzibah, and thy land Beulah. For Yahweh delighteth in thee, and thy land shall be married. For as a young man marrieth a virgin, so shall thy sons marry thee. And as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall thy Elohim rejoice over thee. I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of Yahweh, keep not silence, and give him no rest, till he establish and till he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh hath sworn by his right hand, and by the arm of his strength. Surely I will no more give thy corn to be meat for thine enemies, and the sons of the strangers shall not drink your wine, for the which you have labored, but they that have gathered it shall eat it, and praise Yahweh. And they that have brought it together shall drink it in the court of my holiness. Go through the gate. Prepare you the way of the people, cast up the highway. Gather out the stones, lift up a standard for the people. Behold, Yahweh hath proclaimed unto the end of the world. Say you to the daughter of Yehuda, behold, thy salvation cometh. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him.
Mm-hmm.
And they shall call them the holy people, the redeemed of Yahweh. And thou shalt be called sought out, a city not forsaken.
Okay, my brother. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 14 through verse 19. Yirmiyahu chapter 3 and verse 14 through verse 19.
Big overturning in the world power, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this will be the last overturning. There was 3 of them. Mm-hmm. And this will be the last one. Yeah, I know all about that, brother. That's why they stay off in the New Testament.
Yirmiyahu chapter 3, verse 14. Turn, O backsliding children, says Yahweh, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and 2 of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. And I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And it shall come to pass, when you be multiplied and increased in the land, in those days, says Yahweh, they shall say no more, the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it, neither shall that be done anymore.
Why? Because that was given to our fathers, right? That was the ark that the Spirit sat on when he was with our fathers. But the throne that's going to be set up here in Jerusalem will be the throne of David that's going to be set on the earth. So go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 17. At that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of Yahweh, and all the nations shall be gathered unto it, to the name of Yahweh, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk any more after the imagination of their evil heart. In those days the house of Yehudah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers. But I said, how shall I put thee among the children, and give thee a pleasant land, a goodly heritage of the host of nations? And I said, thou shalt call me my father, and shall not turn away from it.
Okay, so we dealt with the regathering. Now let's go and deal with earth's rulership. Psalms chapter 2 in verse 1 through verse 12. Psalms chapter 2 in verse 1 through verse 12. Yeah, that's what we saw. In the Old Testament, most of the measurements was used with Jerusalem as the center of the earth. So whatever was north of Jerusalem was considered the Western Hemisphere. Okay. Go ahead and read, brother.
Psalm chapter 2, verse 1. Verse 1. Why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. The Adonai shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. Yahweh hath said unto me, thou art my son. This day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O you kings. Be instructed, you judges of the earth. Serve Yahweh with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and you perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all they that put their trust in him.
Amen. Chapter 9 and verse 2 through verse 7. Chapter 9, verse 2 through verse 7.
Verse 2. I will be glad and rejoice in thee. I will sing praise to thy name, O thou Most High. When mine enemies are turned back, they shall fall and perish at thy presence. For thou hast maintained my right and my cause. Thou settest in the throne, judging right. Thou hast rebuked the heathen. Thou hast destroyed the wicked. Thou hast put out their name forever and ever. O thou enemies, destructions are come to a perpetual end, and thou hast destroyed cities. Their memorial is perished with them. But Yahweh shall endure forever. He hath prepared his throne for judgment.
Okay, my brother. He has prepared his throne for judgment, and that judgment will be set on the earth, because Mashiach said, unto me every knee shall bow. Now let's go and verify that from the mouth of the angel Gabriel. Luke chapter 1 and verse 26 through verse 33. Luke chapter 1, verse 26 through verse 33.
verse 26. And in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from Elohim, city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David, and the virgin's name was Mary. And the angel came in unto her and said, Hail, you that are highly favored, the Adonai is with you, blessed are you among women. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this should be. And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with Elohim. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb, and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Yeshua. He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And the Elohim shall give unto him the throne of his father David. And he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end.
Okay, my brother. So we see that the Mashiach is given the throne that we just read about. Matthew 2 in verse 1 through verse 6. Matthew chapter 2 in verse 1 through verse 6.
Verse 1. Now when Yeshua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where the Mashiach should be born. They said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea. For thus it is written by the prophet, And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Yehudah, art not least among the princes of Yehudah. For out of you shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel.
Okay, my brother, I don't want to go no further than that. Isaiah chapter 32, 1 through verse 4. Isaiah chapter 32 in verse 1 through verse 4.
Verse 1. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. And a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And the eyes of them that see shall not be dim, and the ears of them that hear shall hearken. The heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerers shall be ready to speak plainly.
Why? Because of the righteous king that's going to reign on once the Mashiach returns. Revelations 4 and 1 through 5 and 10. Revelation chapter 4 and verse 1 through chapter 5 and verse 10.
Verse 1. After this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven, and the first voice which I heard was, as it were, of a trumpet talking with me, which said, Come up hither, and I will show these things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about it,
throne in sight like unto an emerald. And round about the throne were 24 seats. And upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment. And they had on their heads crowns of gold. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are 7 spirits of Elohim. And before the throne there was a sea of glass like unto crystal, and in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts full of eyes before and behind. The first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, and the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. And the 4 beasts had each of them 6 wings about him, and they were full of eyes within, and they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, 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 Adonai Elohim Almighty, which was and is to come. And when those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne, who liveth forever and ever, the 24 elders fall down before him that sat on the throne, and worship him that liveth forever and ever, and cast their crowns before the throne, saying, Thou art worthy, O Adonai, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, Who is worthy to open and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders said unto me, Weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Yehudah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Elohim sent forth into all the earth. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of saints. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof. For thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us by your blood out from among every kindred and tongue and people and nation, and have made us unto our Elohim kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth.
So we see the Mashiach is going to be a king. Then you had the 24 elders that's going to be king. And we know that the 144,000 are also going to be kings, right? Okay, now let's go deal with the prince of the earth. Psalms chapter 132 and verse 1 through verse 18.
That's part we just get about upon the kings of the earth. I hear the Catholic Church, they moved that back to just before them to set up the cathedral, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I know, brother. They walk pretty hard, don't they? Psalms 132 and verse 1 through verse 18.
Verse 1. Yahweh, remember David and all his afflictions, how he sware unto Yahweh, and vowed unto the mighty Elohim of Yaakov. Surely I will not come into the tabernacle of my house, nor go up into my bed. I will not give sleep to mine eyes, or slumber to mine eyelids, until I find out a place for Yahweh, a habitation for the mighty Elohim of Yaakov. Lo, we heard of it at Ephratah, we found it in the fields of the woods. We will go into his tabernacles. We will worship at his footstool. Arise, O Yahweh, into thy rest, thou and the ark of thy strength. Let thy priests be clothed with righteousness, and let thy saints shout for joy. For thy servant David's sake, turn not away the face of thine anointed. Yahweh hath sworn in truth unto David, he will not turn from it. Of the fruit of thy body will I set upon thy throne. If thy children will keep my covenant and my testimonies that I shall teach them, their children shall also sit upon your throne forevermore. For Yahweh hath chosen Zion, he hath desired it for his habitation. This is my rest forever, here will I dwell, for I have desired it. I will abundantly bless her provision, I will satisfy her poor with bread. I will also clothe her priests with salvation, and her saints shall shout aloud for joy. There will I make the horn of David to bud, have ordained a lamp for mine anointed. His enemies will I clothe with shame, but upon himself shall his crown flourish.
Okay, my brother, Ezekiel 34 and verse 11 through verse 31. Ezekiel 34 and verse 11 through verse 31.
Verse 11. For thus says the Adonai Elohim, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out. As a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep and will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. And I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the country, and will bring them to their own land, and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers, and in all the inhabited places of the country. I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountain of Israel shall their fold be. There shall they lie in a good fold, and in a fat pasture shall they feed upon the mountains of Israel. I will feed my flock, and I will cause them to lie down, says the Adonai Elohim. I will seek that which was lost, and bring again that which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick. But I will destroy the fat and the strong. I will feed them with judgment. And as for you, O my flock, thus says the Adonai Elohim, behold, I judge between cattle and cattle, between the rams and the he-goats. Seemeth it a small thing unto you to have eaten up the good pasture, but you must tread down with your feet the residue of your pastures, and to have drunk of the deep waters, but you must foul the residue with your feet. And as for my flock, they eat that which you have trodden with your feet, and they drink that which you have fouled with your feet. Therefore, thus says the Adonai Elohim unto them, behold, I, even I, will judge between the fat cattle and between the lean cattle. Because you have thrust with side and with shoulder, and pushed all the disease with your horns, till you have scattered them abroad, therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be a prey. And I will judge between cattle and cattle. And I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. And I, Yahweh, will be their Elohim, and my servant David a prince among them. I, Yahweh, have spoken. And I will make with them a covenant of peace, and will cause the evil beast to cease out of the land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods. And I will make them and the places round about my hill a blessing, and I will cause the shower to come down in his season. There shall be showers of blessing. And the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase, and they shall be safe in their land, and shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have broken the bands of their yoke, and delivered them out of the hand of those that serve themselves of them. And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beasts of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. And I will raise up for them a plant of renown, and they shall be no more consumed with hunger in the land, neither bear the shame of the heathen any more. Thus shall they know that I, Yahweh, their Elohim, am with them, and that they, even the house of Israel, are my people, says the Adonai Elohim. And you, my flock, the flock of my pastor, are men, and I am your Elohim, says the Adonai Elohim.
Chapter 44, and verse 1 through verse 3, brother. Chapter 44, and verse 1 through verse 3.
Verse 1. Then he brought me back the way of the gate of the outward sanctuary, which looketh toward the east, and it was shut. Then said Yahweh unto me, this gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, and no man shall enter in by it, because the Adonai, the Elohim of Israel, have entered in by it, therefore it shall be shut. It is for the prince. The prince, he shall sit in it to eat bread before the Adonai. He shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate, and shall go out by the way of the same.
Okay, my brother, chapter 45 and verse 1 through chapter 46 and verse 18. Chapter 45 and verse 1 through chapter 46 and verse 18.
Verse 1. Moreover, when you shall divide by lot the land for inheritance, you shall offer an oblation unto Yahweh, an holy portion of the land. The length shall be the length of 25,000 reeds, and the breadth shall be 10,000. This shall be holy in all the borders thereof round about. Of this there shall be for the sanctuary 500 in length, with 500 in breadth, square round about, and 50 cubits round about for the suburbs thereof. And of this measure shall you measure the length of 25,000, and the breadth of 10,000, and in it shall be the sanctuary and the most holy place. The holy portion of the land shall be for the priests, the ministers of the sanctuary, which shall come near to minister unto Yahweh. And it shall be a place for their houses, and a holy place for the sanctuary.
Okay, so you got the sanctuary, and then you got all the suburbs of Jerusalem was for the priests, right? Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 5. And the 25,000 of length, and the 10,000 of breadth, shall also the Levites, the ministers of the house, have for themselves for a possession for 20 chambers.
Right. In other words, the Levites weren't given a portion of the land before, and they will not be given a portion of the land this time. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 6. And you shall appoint the possession of the city 5,000 broad, and 25,000 long, over against the oblation of the holy portion. It shall be for the whole house of Israel. And a portion shall be for the prince on the one side, and on the other side of the oblation of the holy portion, and of the possession of the city, before the oblation of the holy portion, and before the possession of the city, from the west side westward, and from the east side eastward. And the length shall be over against one of the portions, from the west border unto the east border. In the land shall be his possession in Israel, and my princes shall no more oppress my people, and the rest of the land shall they give to the house of Israel according to their tribes.
Verse 16.
All the people of the land shall give this oblation for the prince in Israel. And it shall be the prince's part to give burnt offerings and meat offerings and drink offerings in the feast and in the new moon and in the Shabbat and in all solemnities of the house of Israel. He shall prepare the sin offering and the meat offering and the burnt offering and the peace offering to make reconciliation for the house of Israel. Thus says the Adonai Elohim, in the first month, in the first day of the month, thou shalt take a young bullock without blemish and cleanse the sanctuary. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering and put it upon the post of the house and upon the four corners of the settle of the altar and upon the post of the gate of the inner court. And so thou shalt do the 7th day of the month for everyone that erreth, and for him that is simple, so shall you reconcile the house. In the first month, in the 14th day of the month, you shall have the Passover, a feast of 7 days, unleavened bread shall be eaten. And upon that day shall the prince prepare for himself and for all the people of the land a bullock for a sin offering. And 7 days of the feast he shall prepare a burnt offering to Yahweh, 7 bullocks, 7 rams without blemish, daily the 7 days, and a kid of the goats daily for a sin offering. And he shall prepare a meat offering of an ephah for a bullock, and an ephah for a ram, and a hin of oil for an ephah. In the 7th month, in the 15th day of the month, shall he do the like in the feast of the 7 days, according to the sin offering, according to the burnt offering, and according to the meat offering, and according to the oil. Thus says the Adonai Elohim, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut the six working days. But on the Sabbath it shall be open, and in the day of the new moon it shall be open. And the prince shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate without, and shall stand by the post of the gate. And the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate. Then he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. Likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of this gate before Yahweh in the Sabbath and in the new moon. And the burnt offering that the prince shall offer unto Yahweh in the Sabbath day shall be 6 lambs without blemish, and a ram without blemish. And the meat offering shall be an ephah for a ram, and the meat offering for the lamb, as he shall be able to give, and a hin of oil to an ephah. And in the day of the new moon it shall be a young bullock without blemish, and 6 lambs and a ram. They shall be without blemish. And he shall prepare a meat offering, an ephah for a bullock, and a ephah for a ram, and for the lambs according as his hand shall attain unto, and a hin of oil to an ephah. And when the prince shall enter, he shall go in by the way of the porch of that gate, and he shall go forth by the way thereof. But when the people of the land shall come before Yahweh in the solemn feast, He that entereth in by the way of the north gate to worship shall go out by the way of the south gate. And he that entereth by the way of the south gate shall go forth by the way of the north gate. He shall not return by the way of the gate whereby he came in, but shall go forth over against it. And the prince in the midst of them, when they go in, shall go in, and when they go forth, shall go forth. And in the feast and in the solemnities, the meat offering shall be an ephah to a bullock, and an ephah to a ram, and to the lamb as he is able to give, and a hin of oil to an ephah. Now when the prince shall prepare a voluntary burnt offering, or peace offerings voluntarily unto Yahweh, one shall then open him the gate that looketh toward the east, and he shall prepare his burnt offering and his peace offering as he did on the Sabbath day. Then he shall go forth, and after his going forth, one shall shut the gate. Thou shalt daily prepare a burnt offering unto Yahweh of a lamb of the first year without blemish. Thou shalt prepare it every morning. And thou shalt prepare a meat offering for it every morning, the 6th part of an ephah, and the 3rd part of an hin of oil, to temper with the fine flour, a meat offering continually by a perpetual ordinance unto Yahweh. Thus shall they prepare the lamb and the meat offering and the oil every morning for a continual burnt offering. Thus says the Adonai Elohim, if the prince give a gift unto any of his sons, the inheritance thereof shall be his sons. It shall be their possession by inheritance. But if he give a gift of his inheritance to one of his servants, then it shall be his to the year of liberty. After it shall return to the prince, but his inheritance shall be his sons for them. Moreover, the prince shall not take of the people's inheritance by oppression to thrust them out of their possession, but he shall give his sons inheritance out of his own possession, that my people be not scattered, every man from his possession.
Okay, so we got the regathering. We dealt with earth rulership, which is going to be the Mashiach, the 24 elders and the 144,000. Then we dealt with David, who's going to be the prince of the earth. Now let's go and deal with the governors of the earth. Micah chapter 4 and verse 1 through verse 8. Micah chapter 4 and verse 1 through verse 8. Micah chapter 4, verse 1 through verse 8.
Verse 1. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahweh shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, Come, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, and to the house of the Elohim of Yaakov. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Yehudah, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid. For the mouth of Yahweh of hosts hath spoken it. For all people will walk, every one in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of Yahweh our Elohim forever and ever. In that day, says Yahweh, will I assemble her that halteth, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted, and I will make her that halted a remnant, and her that was cast far off, a strong nation, and Yahweh shall reign over them in Mount Sion from henceforth, even forever. And thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Yehuda, unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem.
Okay, my brother, chapter 14, in Isaiah chapter 14, in verse 1 through verse 3. Isaiah chapter 14, in verse 1 through verse 3.
1 through 3?
Yeah.
Verse 1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Yaakov, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Yaakov. And the people shall take them, and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh, for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein you were made to serve.
Okay, I don't want to go no further than that, brother. That's 14, right? Jeremiah 16, verse 14 through verse 21. Jeremiah chapter 16, and verse 14 through verse 21. I just want to cover how the kingdom is going to be set up, brother. Jeremiah 16, and verse 14 through verse 21.
Verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into the land that I gave unto their fathers. Behold, I will send for many fishers, says Yahweh, and they shall fish them. And after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain, and from every hill, and out of the holes of the rock. For mine eyes are upon all their ways. They are not hid from my face, neither is their iniquity hid from mine eyes. And first, I will recompense their iniquity and their sin double. Because they have defiled my land, they have filled mine inheritance with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable things. O Yahweh, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of verse 19. O Yahweh, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Euro Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Shall a man make gods unto himself, and they are no God? Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know, I will cause them to know mine hand and my might, and they shall know that my name is Yahweh.
Okay, my brother, Joel chapter 3 and verse 17 through verse 21. Joel chapter 3 and verse 17 through verse 21.
Verse 17. So shall you know that I am Yahweh your Elohim, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no stranger pass through her any more. And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Yehudah shall flow with water, and a fountain shall come forth of the house of Yahweh, and shall water the valley of Shittim. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Yehudah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. But Yehudah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation, for I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed, for Yahweh dwelleth in Zion.
Okay, my brother, Zechariah 14, verse 14 through verse 21. Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 14 through verse 21.
Verse 14. And Yehudah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall gather together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall the plague of the horse, of the mule, of the camel, and of the ass, and of all the beasts that shall be in these tents as this plague. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go year to year to worship the King Yahweh of hosts, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King Yahweh, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, and have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith Yahweh will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, the punishment of all nations come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. In that day shall there be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto Yahweh. And the pot in Yahweh's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Yehudah shall be holiness to Yahweh of hosts, and all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them and feed therein. And in that day there shall be no more the Canaanites in the house of Yahweh of hosts.
Okay, brother. Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 8 through verse 12. Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 8 through verse 12.
Verse 8. Therefore awake you upon me, says Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdom, to pour upon them mine indignation, even all my fierce anger. For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may all call upon the name of Yahweh, to serve him with one consent. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliants, even the daughter of my dispersed, shall bring mine offering. In that day shalt thou not be ashamed for all thy doings, wherein thou hast transgressed against me. But then I will take away out of the midst of thee them that rejoice in thy pride, and thou shalt no more be halted because of my holy name. I will also leave in the midst of thee an afflicted and poor people, and they shall trust in the name of Yahweh.
Read verse 13, brother.
Verse 13. The remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity, nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. For they shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid.
Okay, as we see, regards to what people are saying today, as we see, there is going to be a glorious kingdom set up, and it's going to be order about that kingdom. And a lot of people just seem to think that the Messiah is going to return, and then once he returns, everything going to be all right, and everybody going to be lovely off in heaven. But as we see, Israel was regathered, the earth, the rulers of the earth were set up, the princes had their portion, and then the governors of Judah were scattered to the four corners of the earth to govern this earth, and Israel blossom and bud and fill the face of the whole earth with fruit. And this is according to Yahweh's true word, and not according to anything that man has done. So it's been said, so it is written, even so, come Lord Yahshua, and save Jacob out of all of his troubles. That's all I'm going to do today. And may Yahweh have mercy upon us all.